I am Kathy Weed Vincent, President of the Greendale School Board. At this time, I hereby call to order this annual meeting of the Greendale School District. At this time, I'd like you to please stand and join me for the national anthem, and I believe we're going to call them. Yes, we got to let them in. We're going to be hearing from the Greendale High School Orchestra, so we'll wait a moment as they come in.
There's a next separate.
Thank you to the members of the orchestra and Brittany Whiting, their conductor or director. Thank you for being here with us tonight, and your music is amazing. Okay, we'll let them take a moment. Thank you again. So state law requires that school districts hold an annual meeting. The meeting provides residents with an opportunity to hear about the operation of the school district, have an advisory vote, and learn about the future direction of the district. The meeting also provides administration with the opportunity to focus on achievements, needs, and the future of the district. Business shall be conducted in agenda order unless a majority of members agree through a motion to a change in the order. Questions regarding an agenda item will be taken following that specific report. Persons wishing to do so are asked to use the floor standing microphone in the center aisle. Those approaching the microphone are asked to clearly and slowly state their name and address into the microphone for the record and limit their comments to only one time and limit their comments to 3 minutes. Maggie Olson, if I'll have her stand up, Maggie Olson will serve as our timekeeper this evening. If you will be making or seconding a motion this evening, we ask that you clearly and slowly state your name and address for the record. It is now my privilege to introduce Attorney Sarah Hanneman, who will be serving as our parliamentarian for the annual meeting. And at the board table tonight, we have Dr. Kim Amedzik, Director of Business Services Jonathan Mitchell, Vice President Mary Laurel Grogan, Treasurer Tasha Hughes, Clerk Joe Crepito, and Board Member Rob Kobleska. Our student members are Kaya Fuentes and Nick Galusha. And are they out there? I think I see Kaya, and I'm sure Nick is out doing something. All right, I would also like to recognize Greendale Village Board President. I see him out in attendance, Jason Siborowski. Want to give a wave? And I heard our state representative Chuck Wickers was going to be joining us. I don't see him yet, but thank him as well. So thank you for joining us this evening. So first, I'd like to call up the reading buddies, and we'll have them. We'll call them, not yet. Call them, yes, no? Not yet. Okay, not yet. We're going to be presenting them with the certificate of accommodation for the Greendale school, from the Greendale School District. So Dr. Midzik has some words to share.
In the late 1990s, Judy Fons, Dee Dixon, and Dr. Bill Hughes had a vision for connecting children with retired members of the community to share a love of reading. Based on research around early reading, Greendale schools embraced the opportunity, and the Reading Buddies program was born. With Reading Buddies, adult community volunteers come once a week to listen to 2 or 3 first-grade students read a book of their choosing. Tying the goal of connecting text to verbal discussion in the written word, each child has a journal. The students are asked to take the journal home, read the book to a parent, and complete a drawing about the book in the journal. Often, the volunteer and parent carry on a written conversation about the student's reading. And at the end of the year, students keep their journals as a record of progress they made in reading. Dee Dixon and Judy Fons coordinated this intergenerational program for many years, and recently Carol Richards has accepted leadership in the Greendale schools, and the baton was passed. The program runs on a core group of adult volunteers, but it also depends on a number of subs who can come to replace a regular adult buddy, either on short notice or for a planned absence. Each first grade classroom has an adult that checks that no child is missed and helps with finding subs. Over the past 25 years, there have been hundreds of volunteers that have served thousands of students in the Greendale schools. And at this time, I'd like to share a short video of the Reading Buddies in action. I recognize so many of those faces as they've been with us for a very long time. Some are former employees and some are have volunteered since the inception of the program 25 years ago. My 22-year-old and 17-year-old daughter both participated in the program, and that connection was very important to them. Excuse me. It is with great honor that I introduce Carol Richards and Judy Fons. Dee Dixon was unable to attend here this evening, and we congratulate and thank them for their commitment. And I'm also going to call down the elementary principals who benefit from your service for a picture. Sometimes we will do these commendations and say, would you like to say a few words? And they say no. But I know that if I say to Carol Richards, would you like to say a few words? She'll have no problem.
I am so proud to be standing here today to represent our group of reading buddies. As Kim mentioned, the mission of Reading Buddies is not to be a reading tutor or a reading professional. The goal of all the Reading Buddies is to promote the love of reading, because we all understand that the journey of each child's education starts with reading. So that's what we come in every week for. And when Judy and Dee started the program, I'm sure they didn't think that it was going to be lasting 25 years. And I just counted the roster of all the people that are coming back, as well as the new buddies. And this year we have exactly 100 reading buddies. They are a great group of people. They are so dedicated. They're always smiling. The kids are always smiling. And I think if you ask the principals, they always know when it's Reading Buddy Day because everybody's psyched up about it. So if we can bring that joy and that love of reading to the school every single week, then we're doing our job. So there are some of the Reading Buddies sitting on that side. So give them a round of applause. This is Judy Fons, who helped start the program.
Thank you. I got tears in my eyes as I watched the slides. It doesn't seem like it's 25 years ago, and I only wish Dee would be here with me. Dee came up with the idea, and she and I talked about it and said, what do you think? You think it'll grow? Sure. So she did a lot of the research, and she worked with the teachers in setting up the different rooms and how we were going to work this out. And my job was to find the reading buddies. Well, I went through all my friends. Most of them were all retired. And as I'd walk down the street, they would now cross the street when they see me coming. Eventually, I ran out of friends. And I talked to Ella Camp. I don't know if the name sounds familiar to any of you. She's now 98 years old, and I wanted her to come with me tonight so she could celebrate. And she was cooking because she had friends coming over, or relatives. And the other gal who has been around is Jen Brunhofer. And I didn't contact her. I think she just turned 100 not too long ago. So when we started, there are a lot of you who are very young. All of us were very much into... You were very young. Yeah, we were very young too, but we were all grandmas. So it's a great program, and it was one of those wonderful things that started and continued to grow. And thank you for letting me come here today.
Absolutely.
Following the annual meeting, there is celebratory cake in the area out here.
Thank you again to all of our reading buddies. They are an amazing group, and our children in Greendale are extra specially served because of the work all of them do. So let's give them one more round of applause. Okay, at this time, I call for nominations for chairperson for this 2023 annual meeting. Please state your name and address. Are there any nominations?
And I nominate Kathleen Weed-Vincent to serve as chairperson for this 2023 annual meeting.
Thank you, and may I have a second, please?
I, Lauren Schukart, residing at 5307 Radcliffe Drive, second the nomination for Kathleen Weed-Vincent to serve as chairperson.
A nomination has been made and seconded to have Kathleen Weed-Vincent serve as the chairperson of the 2023 annual meeting. All those in favor of Kathleen Weed-Vincent serving as the chairperson of the annual meeting, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The motion carries on a voice vote. Thank you, and good evening, members of the board, administration, and community. I am honored to have this opportunity to address the Greendale electorate, and thank you for the opportunity to chair this meeting, to take care of the business of the district. I submit the agenda for the annual meeting as posted. This meeting and the 2023-24 proposed budget have been duly noticed in accordance with state statutes. Every elector of a common school district, of which Greendale is one, is eligible to vote at the annual meeting. If an amendment to a motion is to come before the electorate from the floor, it will need to be submitted in writing to me as annual meeting chair. The voting procedure by the electorate will be a voice vote. If the vote is close, a show of hands will be counted. An elector is defined by the state of Wisconsin as a United States citizen age 18 or older and a district resident for 28 consecutive days. Members of the electorate are to be seated in the front section of the auditorium. The back of the auditorium is reserved for individuals who are not district residents. Ushers will direct you to the appropriate area. These seating arrangements will help with the voting process. So thank you to the staff who served as registrars in the hallway this evening as you entered, and also to the technology and auditorium teams for their assistance. For those participants who do not attend the budget hearing, but do attend the annual meeting, we will continue to register electors at the door until the chair calls for the first vote, at which point registration will close. Next on the agenda is the clerk's report of previous annual meeting.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
I've read the summary of minutes of the 2022 annual meeting as presented and find them to be an accurate representation of last year's meeting.
Are there any comments at this time regarding the clerk's report? We'll move on to the treasurer's report, which is next on the agenda. Treasurer Hughes will present the treasurer's report. Treasurer Hughes?
Good evening. The purpose of the
It should be.
The purpose of the Treasurer's Report is to update the residents of Greendale on the financial status of the school district. For the year ending June 30th, 2023, the district's main operational fund, Fund 10, had total revenues of $34,991,294 and total expenditures of $35,837,986. Therefore, the operational fund balance, as not yet audited, was decreased from $7,281,157.27 to $7,074,052.75. The fund balance decrease was due to staffing costs, self-funded health insurance costs, utility costs, and facility costs. This 20% operational fund balance is designated for cash flow purposes during the year to avoid short-term borrowing costs, so that costs can be covered from July to January when revenue is minimal. This amount is in compliance with the school board's fund balance policy of maintaining a fund balance of not less than 15% of next year's operational fund budget. Fund 10 is the primary source of funding the district's operational expenses, such as salaries, benefits, supplies, and school program services. The Greendale School District's short and long-term debt as of June 30th, 2023 consists of the following: $31,595,000 for debt issued with the 2018 construction referendum, $2,190,000 in general obligation bonds to remodel Greendale High School in 2009, $1,095,000 for the Wisconsin Retirement System unfunded liability refinancing, $585,000 for Act 32 energy projects, and $148,834 for capital leases. Financial highlights for the Greendale School District include the proposed 23-24 school property tax levy is estimated at $15,336,850. This represents no change to the levy from the 2022-23 school year. The final levy is known in late October when the budget is finalized based on the final state equalization aid and enrollment. The total expended all funds budget for 23-24 is projected to be $49,590,348. The district continues with sustainable initiatives for energy reduction and aggressively seeks all possible revenue streams in areas such as facility rentals, federal reimbursements, and using state and national contracts. These practices have resulted in cost savings or revenues to help balance the budget without impacting student achievement. It is important to note that student performance and achievement in the Greendale School District continues to be very strong. The Greendale School District is a district of destination and a highly rated district in the metropolitan Milwaukee area with sound operational practices and a stable financial future.
Thank you, Treasurer Hughes. Are there any comments at this time regarding the Treasurer's report? Seeing none, I will like to invite Dr. Kim Amidzik to the podium to present the Superintendent's report.
There we go. Thank you very much. This evening, I would like to share some highlights on the accomplishments in the district over the 22-23 school year and what we've been able to do with the money that was levied for last school year. We set a vision. We have a mission and a vision in the district, and our vision is to cultivate excellence in every student. That is a very important vision for our district. It is something that is front of mind for all of our staff as we come to the school buildings and work with children on a daily basis. And when we say every, we really mean every student. It is important, and we live by this mantra, that all students will have access to grade level standards, they'll be assessed to grade level standards, and we will reteach to mastery for grade level standards. There are times that we could work with students and do fun learning activities, but the rigor of the standards is truly important to make sure that all students are able to achieve at high levels and have access to excellence. So that idea that all students have access to grade level standards seems very simple, but is incredibly important to us, being able to achieve excellence in our academic and social and emotional pursuits. As part of the strategic plan, there are 6 priority areas, and I'm going to touch on 4 of them and our accomplishments within those spaces tonight. The first area that we're looking at is provide every student access to a challenging, balanced, and equitable education that sparks curiosity and engagement. And last year, we set a goal to increase the percentage of students achieving growth and proficiency on standardized tests aligned to the standards, which is why it's so important that we make sure all students have access to the standards. And we accomplished success in this space. We are confronting some challenges in this space. What you saw was our English language arts performance, which is an area that we spent a lot of time focusing on as we were focusing on standards and adjusting our curriculum. But we do see some other areas where we are not where we want to be. Our math scores, we saw steady achievement at our elementary level and some declines in our middle school level, and we are not fully back to pre-pandemic levels yet. And so we know that we have continued work to do to pursue excellence for every student. Our second strategic priority area is prepare K-12 students with the skills to explore and be ready for the college and/or career pathway of their choice. Our conversations here have been that it needs to be the student's choice, that all career choices are equally viable, but if we set students up for success, we need to make sure that the choice is theirs to make, and they're not left with one choice because we failed to prepare them. And that is why the choice is truly important in this strategic priority area. We continue to have career exploration opportunities in many of the career pathways, health and human services, media communication, skilled trades, engineering and computer sciences, business and marketing, and students have access to explore many of these areas, starting in elementary school with some career readiness opportunities and some samples, but certainly have capstone course opportunities at the high school level. Sometimes you hear and see a bunch of alphabet soup, but I want to talk a little bit about what it looks like and how careers are accessible to students at the high school level in capstone courses. So the first one is PLTW, which stands for Project Lead the Way. It is a pre-engineering curriculum, and students have access to credit at Milwaukee's School of Engineering for completion of courses in Project Lead the Way. In addition to Project Lead the Way courses in biomedical sciences, and students have access to credits at MSOE in the biomedical sciences area. They are 2 separate strands, but both capstone courses. We introduced a couple of years ago, in partnership with both MATC and WCTC, a program called the Dual Enrollment Academy. This means that our high school seniors have an opportunity to begin their first year of technical college in a program of study, so that by the time that they leave us, they are nearly complete with an associate's degree. At when we started, we had 4 or 5 students who volunteered and asked to participate in the program. Currently, we have about 20% of our senior class who spend most of their day off-site in a dual enrollment academy at either MATC or WCTC, pursuing career pathways such as IT security, welding, construction, fire protection, certified nursing assistant and LPN program. So those programs are an opportunity for students to begin their career pathway if they know where they want to be and what they want to do. We also have partnered with GPS, which is Generac Power Systems. They have a high school program in which students take class in the morning at a site and then have an opportunity to apprentice in a manufacturing area. We currently have 10 students enrolled, which is about 2 to 4% of our student population. We also partner extensively with UW schools, Oshkosh and Green Bay, to provide college-credited courses at the high school. And we currently have 17 AP classes. Recently, we had a visit from a retired teacher who happened to be my high school biology teacher a number of years ago. And he taught one of the first 3 AP classes. My senior year, we had 3 classes that were AP offerings. He taught the first AP biology course. We also had at that time AP calculus and AP art history. And he was shocked when I told him how many AP courses of study that we have in the school. So we talk about equity of access. And there's a difference between equality and equity. And I shared this with the audience who came to the annual meeting, and it's out there last year, that giving everyone the same thing doesn't mean everyone has access. That sometimes we need to adjust the scaffolding to ensure that everyone has access. And that's what we're working towards when we talk about equity. Last year at the annual meeting, I talked to you about leveling up, and that we had taken some of our science classes and leveled up to the point that all students were participating in biology, chemistry, and physics with honors content delivered and assessed for every student. And there was some questions about that, but our intent was not to lower the bar, but lift up the scaffolding so all students had access to that college-ready material that prepared them for AP courses, because we discovered that some of our AP courses were not thriving the way that they should, since students did not have access to the prerequisites that are housed in our honors courses. Therefore, all students have access to honors work in our science classes. We did that 2 years ago. Alan Borsek wrote an article on it last year, and the impact is that we've seen a substantial increase in the number of students taking AP Science courses because they've had access to the prerequisite standards. So in 21-22 school year, before we started, 99 students took one of the 5 AP Science courses: AP Environmental Science, AP Biology, AP Chemistry, AP Physics, and AP Computer Science. This last school year, we saw a slight increase, but this year we truly see the impact of access to the prerequisites, with 152 students taking AP Science courses, with the most significant gains happening in chemistry and physics. And I think that's pretty awesome. I don't want this to play. But we introduced a new recognition and honor this year, which is a seal of biliteracy. This is an area in which students have the opportunity to be recognized at the state level for their dual language proficiency. So they are proficient in English, and they are proficient in another language. Sometimes that proficiency happens because they've taken a world language class in the high school, and they score at a level that is proficient at an intermediate high, which is a level 6 in all 4 areas of communication: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Sometimes there's proficiency in 2 languages because they speak a language other than English in their home and have demonstrated proficiency in the language spoken at home and in English through a number of assessments at school. So we had in our first class 28 students qualify for the seal of biliteracy, and that number is expected to grow. All right, our third area is connecting with family and community. And the goal is to strengthen our relationships with family and community to promote a sense of belonging, mutual respect, and safety for all families, inclusive of all racial and ethnic identities. This year, I would like to introduce Najiri Jackson. She has been with us for a couple of years as a curriculum consultant and co-teacher in a social studies class at the high school. And she began last fall as the Community Connections Coordinator. And what we've done with the Community Connections program is we've extended and expanded our celebrations of National Heritage Months beyond our schools and our students to engage and welcome the community. This year we had 5. I have to count them on my screen. The first one is sensory-friendly events. We actually had 2 of those. And what that is for, that is an opportunity for families to come together in a social setting. And it's sensory-friendly because some of our students with significant special needs really struggle and are overstimulated in our regular school community environments. And so we really designed the event to be sensory-friendly so that all can participate together. We had a Hispanic Heritage Month celebration, and I'd like to invite everyone to the one that will be hosted this year at Highland View on October 5th. Thank you. So that's another one. We had Black History Month celebration last year at College Park, an Arab American celebration at the middle school, and our 3 Heritage Month, Hispanic Heritage Month, Black History Month, and American Arab American Month, welcomed over 200 community members to each, and it was an amazing opportunity to celebrate the various cultures in our community. And in July, in coordination with the community theater musical, The Prom, there was a safe space workshop attended by a small number of community members. And here's some of those pictures of the events that were hosted this year. Finally, I'm going to touch on the fourth of the 6 priority areas that we talked about, and that is managing our resources responsibly. And in order to do that, we're supporting innovation to remain competitive and a district of choice for families. Currently, 91.1% of the school-age children in the Greendale community choose the public schools, which means we have 91.1% of the market share. I found it pretty incredible the other day when I found out that Apple had 87% of the market share on cell phones for teenagers ages 13 to 18. I didn't think it was possible to be that high, but we have an amazing percentage of the market share in our community, and we still are looking at that 9%, like how can we serve them? So we have 1.5% that are homeschooled, 3.5% open enrollment, and 3.9% private school. We have established some partnerships to allow for academic enrichment opportunities for students in our community who are homeschooled or choose a non-traditional schooling environment to see if there's ways that we can engage students in our schools in our community. And open enrollment, we have a number of students who are choosing alternative instructional delivery models. So we are thinking and working on ideas for how we can explore new to school delivery options to expand access and opportunity to grow our market share even further. Part of why we are a district of destination and why we are welcoming new members to the community and attract more students into our district is open enrollment than students, Greendale residents who choose to open enroll out of our district, is the experience in the community. And this represents all of the choices and opportunities that our students experience because of their participation in the Greendale schools. And if you look at this, none of this has anything to do with test scores, but it is part of feeling a sense of belonging and supported in a community. And in order to continue to provide those services and that unique experience, Mr. Mitchell, at the beginning, prior to the start of the annual meeting, did talk about the budget here. In the budget hearing, provided information on the difference between the rate of inflation in our costs and the rate that we've been able to increase our revenue, leaving us with a lagging amount. We have been able to do a lot over the last decade to find efficiencies and be innovative in order to present a balanced budget. This year, you see that we are looking at a deficit budget because we just have not been able to make the necessary adjustments. But some of the things that we've done, you've heard a number of examples specifically this year, but over the last decade, we've been refinancing debt when the interest rates are at record lows, managing our health insurance costs to be below the trend on inflation in health insurance by shopping the market, and managing our wellness programs. We've used federal grant money effectively, and we've been working to generate additional revenue by filling open seats that would otherwise generate no revenue and remain open. And as you saw, Mr. Mitchell shared this screen in which he talked about the different areas of service. So I'm repeating a couple of his slides so that you see it before we take a vote here in a moment, an advisory vote on the budget. But for the last 3 years, we have maintained flat and have been financially responsible in levying to prepay referendum debt to make sure that we are able to financially meet our obligations. And at some point, there may be an opportunity for us to ask the community to consider not prepaying debt, just continue making the minimum payments and using that money for operational costs so that we can maintain that high level of service and that high level of opportunity and experience for our students as we work to cultivate excellence. We achieve our goals, and what we focus on grows. We've spent some time focusing very heavily on standards and English language arts standards and curriculum, and we've seen the results of that. So as we continue to focus on our goals and that vision, we expect to see continued growth and movement towards excellence. So I leave you with that. We have achieved excellence based on our strong staff and our healthy relationships and maintaining that focus on our goals. And with that, I thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Amitzik. Thank you for that report. Are there any comments at this time regarding the superintendent's report? If so, you can come to the microphone. If not, Dr. Amitzik, thank you again for that report. At this time, I am looking for a motion to approve the tax levy as presented for the 2023-24 school year.
I am Lauren Schukart, 5307 Radcliffe Drive. A motion to approve the tax levy for the 2023-24 school year as presented.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I, Amy Pavella, residing at 8875 Garden Lane, second the motion to approve the tax levy for 23-24 school year.
Thank you. So we do have a motion. It's been moved and seconded to approve a tax levy of $9,389,961 for the general fund operations, $4,927,262 for debt services, $819,627 for the community services, and $200,000 for capital expansion, the total tax levy being $15,336,850 to support the Greendale School District's 2023-24 budget. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries on a voice vote. Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the annual school board member salary of $4,900?
I have a question for the parliamentarian. Is it possible to submit amendment to the motion before it's made, or do you need to wait for it to be made and then amend it? Okay.
Good question. So may I have a motion to approve the school board member salary of $4,900?
I, Amy Pavella, residing at 8875 Garden Lane, motion to approve the annual school board member salary of $4,900 for the 23-24 school year.
Thank you. And may I have a second?
I, Jason Sabrowski, residing at 6030 Doyle Street, second the motion to approve the annual school board member salary of $4,900 for the 2023-24 school year.
Thank you.
And before we take a vote, can I'd like to make a motion to amend, and it has to be in writing?
I think so. Go to me. So, okay, so the motion to amend is to move to amend agenda item, that's not 9, to approve. Okay. Yes, so there's an amendment to move there's a motion to move an amendment to approve a 2% increase of board member salary from $4,900 to $5,000 annually. So
Do I need a second?
I would need a second for that motion. Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
Can I speak to the amendment at all?
There wasn't a second to the amendment, was there?
No, but I'm wondering if I can speak to it. Okay, I just wanted to add the amendment, since there's been in the projected budget, a 4% increase for all of the staff, including all of the administrators. I thought that it would be it would be equitable to at least increase the school board salaries by half of that, which is 2%.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Hennessy, 7004 Dryden Court. I second the amendment. I second.
Thank you.
Thank you. So it has been moved and seconded to amend, to approve the school board salary, to approve a 2% increase of board member salary from $4,900 to $5,000 annually. And I don't call for any discussion on that. Anyone?
I'd like to speak to that. First of all, I'd like to thank the community for their original motion coming from the community to maintain the current level of salary. I think, in my opinion, it shows a confidence in the Board of Education. I think we heard Jonathan's budget, and we also heard the Tasha Hughes' treasurer's report. And last year, we ended up with a deficit budget, and we're projecting a deficit budget this year. So I know we have some strong advocates. I think this is the third annual meeting in a row that we've had a strong advocate for more money for the Board of Education. I guess I would ask the community to reject the amended motion and convert back to, and approve the original motion that was made. There isn't money in the budget. There wasn't money in the budget last year, so I don't see how we would justify an increase from a servant leadership perspective.
Well, as we've discussed in previous years, if you felt that strongly, you could donate your salary back.
I think it's odd that you're telling me how to spend my money.
Well, I just wanted to say that in general, obviously, everything has increased since the pandemic. People's time is worth more money. We're planning to increase our administrative salaries by 4%. We're planning to increase our teacher salaries by 4%.
They are the ones that are doing the work.
So I think it makes sense and it's equitable, and to increase the school board salaries, not by 4%, but just by 2%.
Wow.
So any further discussion in that can go for the residents as well.
I mean, I guess we're already going into fund balance for our deficits, and it's $100 per board member. It just doesn't seem like this is the year. I think, received a raise last year, correct? Wasn't that correct?
Yes.
So we're board members, we're kind of more servitude, right, to the people that elect us, and I'm not for another raise this year, considering where we stand budgetarily.
All right.
If you get the raise, is there any feedback on how she should spend it?
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry.
Are you directing that at me?
I was just curious.
Order, please. Let's stay focused.
Thank you.
So I'll just comment. As someone who's been on the board for 7 years now, I have traditionally donated my board salary back to different organizations that are related and run by the school district. And so, again, I'm not really in favor at this point of the amendment, just for the reason that we are looking at a budget deficit, and it is only $100. I don't think it's going to make or break any board members at this point, but I truly feel that we have to focus on the needs of our students and put them first, and that would be to make sure that these dollars stay in the funds for the school district.
Thank you.
Okay, well, and I'd just like to add, just for the just general knowledge, that a lot of school boards, or a lot of communities, decide to pay their school board members based on meeting attendance. So maybe not this year, but something to think about. that you can amend the school board salaries per meeting instead of just an annual salary stipend, which is obviously pretty low for the amount of time that school board members donate. You could amend this motion next year to be a per meeting stipend. So you get paid for every meeting that you actually show up to. So just something to think about. Obviously, there's not a lot of support amongst my fellow board members for this increase, but I appreciate the second. Yeah. And I know that we'll still need to vote, so.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so we're going to be voting to, on the amended motion first, and I'll read that again, to move to amend, to approve a 2% increase of board member salary from $4,900 to $5,000 annually. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed say nay.
Nay.
And I would say that the voice vote is more in favor of nay at this point, right? So we'll come back to the original motion then, which it has been moved and seconded to approve the 2023-24 annual school board member salary at the rate of $4,900. Is there any discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. So the motion carries on a voice vote. Thank you. All right, and our next up, this is authorization of payment of actual necessary expenses of a school board member when traveling in the performance of duties. May I have a motion to authorize the payment of actual and necessary expenses of a school board member when traveling in performance of duties?
I'm Kevin Affelt, residing at 4915 Steeple Drive. I motion to authorize payment of actual and necessary expenses of a school board member when traveling in the performance of duties.
Thank you, and may I please have a second?
I, Jason Sabrowski, residing at 6030 Doyle Street, second the motion to authorize payment of the actual and necessary expenses of a school board member when traveling in the performance of duties.
Thank you. So it has been moved and seconded to authorize payment of actual and necessary expenses of a school board member when traveling in the performance of duties. Is there any discussion on this?
Can you please give a description of, a more detailed description of what you mean by this motion? Is this travel out of state or just travel to?
Jonathan, okay, I can speak to that. So do you want to speak to it or you want me to? I can. Yeah, I think I'm pretty comfortable. So our travel involves state and local, state and national types of conventions. So we have opportunities with our state association, the Wisconsin Association of School Boards, like for our fall meeting is coming up. There is, I don't know if we ever do travel to those because it's local, but there is opportunity to have reimbursement for travel expenses. The registration fees are covered. And if it is an in-state, far-away location or out-of-state convention, there can be reimbursement for travel expenses, including hotel, airfare, and so forth, and food.
Do these expenses exceed $100?
You're asking?
Would at any time these expenses exceed $100?
Yes.
Because I don't know how there'd be room in the budget.
I thought, excuse me, I thought we had a travel budget. And the
I'm sorry, supervisor.
I thought we had a expense budget, like a travel budget anyways, when we went to some of these trainings or seminars that we submitted and we got reimbursement anyway. So I guess I'm confused as to why.
Well, if there's not enough money to
I call the question.
If there's not enough money, we're still in discussion. If there's not enough money to increase salaries by $500 total, why would we be increasing approving anything to increase other costs associated with our positions.
So I'll speak briefly to that, and maybe Dr. Midzik, you can touch base on, there is budget for the school board, but it is very important as board members that we do have professional development, just like our staff would have. There are many things with legislative updates and just trends in education and so forth that we need to be abreast to. So that type of expense is justified because we need to be understanding of what is necessary to make the decisions that we do as a board. Dr. Midzik, I'm going to turn it over to you as far as our budget for staff development.
The board has approved policy around professional development, and there is guidance and direction from policy on professional development. The budget that is currently approved preliminarily does include travel and costs of professional development for the board.
And that budget has stayed the same from last year to this year, correct? We didn't increase that?
I think that's a variable expense, correct? Depending on which staff member, which school
I'm
board
talking about the
members.
budget.
Mr. Mitchell, do you have?
I don't believe the
And
budget
it
has
certainly
changed.
exceeds $100 and even $500 from time to time, just to make the point.
Budget, the budget for travel for the Board of Education, what's already built into the budget that was presented is $3,500 specifically for travel. So that would include all those reimbursable costs of hotel, mileage, and conference fees for an event.
And that wasn't increased from last year. It was.
There was not an increase from prior years.
Okay.
But that is a set aside that's specifically for travel.
And what happens if it's not spent?
So if we have line items in the budget that aren't spent, either those dollars can be reallocated within the department itself, or it rolls back into the budget as a whole.
So, and how much would you estimate was spent on school board travel last year?
So that's certainly information that we've pulled for the board from prior requests, and we certainly can pull information on prior years' travel and provide that to the board for review.
But could you just make an estimate? Was it over 3,500, less than 3,500?
I wouldn't want him to guess.
I don't know that we can make an was it over budget? I don't know. Was it under budget? I don't know. We would need to look that up, and we will have the audit soon. So we will be presenting the audit, and we can make sure to highlight that number.
And if I could, I would like to delineate the difference between our board salary, which many school districts do not actually even offer school board salaries. As mentioned before, it's a servant leadership position, but in terms of the difference between the two, one is a salary and one is for professional development, which again, in my years of being on the board, I have taken advantage of opportunities because I feel it's important for us to be abreast to what is going on, not only at the state level and the local level, but at the national level. So I guess I would just, in saying here, is that I think they are probably apples and oranges. There are two separate focuses, and so I guess I'm just looking, we had a motion in a second, or?
Yep. Just one more comment from a discussion standpoint. I'm not sure if my mic's working, but so we just voted down a $500 increase for stipends. It's basically a stipend. It's not really a salary.
It's a Board of Education salary.
We're being asked to approve, I'm just clarifying for electorate, but we're being asked to approve a $3,500 budget item for school board travel and professional development. So just so everyone's clear.
I don't think we're approving the $3,500 budget. I think we're asking the electorate for us to be reimbursed for those types of costs.
Correct. Dr. Midzik?
Thank you.
It's money spent on school board members.
Okay. So we did have a motion and a second. So it has been moved and seconded to approve the actual and necessary expenses of the school board member when traveling in the performance of duties. We have the discussion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, please say no. Nay.
Nay.
The motion does carry on a voice vote. Next, the next annual meeting of the Greendale School District is proposed for Monday, September 16th, 2024. I guess I'm supposed to ask for, there's no objections for that. So seeing no objections to that, the next annual meeting is scheduled for September 16th of 2024. This does conclude all matters that are to come before the Greendale electorate at the 2023 annual meeting of the Greendale School District. Thank you for your attendance tonight. This was actually a pretty good attendance. And to the many district staff and volunteers that helped make this meeting, especially Sue Patterson for everything that she's done to prepare tonight. So thank you. We are going to take a short 10-minute recess and then reconvene. We have our regular board meeting, and I'm looking at the time here. We'll reconvene at 8:25.